Dev Fireside Chat. My name is Matthew. I'm joined by Howard and Jacob today. Eric is out of the office, but you will actually not see him next week. You won't see any of us except for Jacob. We are setting up a stream for the PAX event. We're going to be showing off co-op, so everyone who's not able to join us is going to be able to still see the new defense and retrieve mode. Defense mode is going to look a little bit like the last one, but there's going to be a lot of new changes, which I think you're really going to enjoy. We'll talk more about that coming up here, and as always, ask questions. We'll be answering throughout, and we'll also be talking about the new patch. So I guess to start off with, Howard, you get to be our voice in the office. How has it been a week before PAX?
I mean, it's definitely pretty tiring for everybody. Like, because I'm going to GDC as well. So, just trying to get a lot of things ready. I mean, not just bill-wise, but with press and trying to reach out, trying to line up some press and trying to plan out how transportation logistics is going to work, and just getting all the booth stuff ready. So it's just like a lot of things happening all at once, and obviously we still have to make the updates and looking at people's feedback. So it's been a pretty busy and tiring week.
Yeah, and apparently Imagine is going to be at PAX East. You're going to have to come by. I'm going to get to be at PAX East this year as well, so I want to see you, Imagine. You have to come to
I've seen Imagine. I've met it.
I know you have, but I haven't, and I'm jealous. And now it's my turn to get to meet Imagine, so don't ruin this for me, Howard.
No. I mean, I'm more practical. I'm just roping him in to do booth duty.
Fair enough. Yeah. If you want to hang out and do work for free, definitely come see us. Let's see. Yep, the stream's beginning. If there's any issues with it, definitely let me know. I believe we're on time, but, if something popped up, just let me know. So Aspire's now OP. How does everyone at Muse feel about this? Howard, I believe you have the strongest voice.
If Spire is indeed OP, I've waited 2 years for this. So if you like want to bounce back the Spire, you have to wait. You just have to love it.
We've actually gotten a lot of feedback, and first of all, even if you completely hated everything, thank you everyone for sending feedback, positive or negative. We love hearing about it. It really helps us, see where we went right, where we might want to look again. So,
I'm obviously kind of joking, but I'm kind of not.
Yeah, Howard's not joking. We actually haven't had a huge number of comments on the Spire. I mean, we've had a couple, ships are great, or this other ship has issues, but Spire overall has been pretty calm. I guess the big things that have to be talked about, though, are the new gun, capture point, and I guess we'll touch on the Pyramidion as well. Those are what most of the feedback's been about. Mechanically, the new capture point map's gone over pretty well. We had a lot of fun with it in the office, so definitely great to hear that you guys enjoyed it. The time is a little short. We got some feedback on it, so we ran the numbers, and the numbers don't lie. The matches are much, much shorter than we want, so we're probably going to look at that, especially for, what was it, 3v3, Howard, was the big offender?
I can be more specific. Okay. I mean, we obviously wanted to shorten the time of basically just Crazy King and King of the Hill in general. I mean, I think that's not really just shortening the time that was the objective, right? But it's just to look at how we can improve the control point mechanic. And I think there's a reason why control point maps are rarely ever played, and that's definitive. In match stats, we look at match creation, the type of matches that get created, and just Crazy King and King of the Hill don't get a lot of play at all. By far and away, don't get a lot of play. So the exact percentage I don't remember, but it's definitely less than 10%. Somewhere around more like 5%. But anyways, okay. So we want to do something about it. So what we did obviously is to change the mechanic, which is a more based on superiority of number. We also added some bonus points for ship kills and whatnot. And the mechanics people seem to have liked, but we got a lot of complaints about the matches being too short, and they're not really enjoyable, and people don't have time to come back and whatnot. So we started looking into it. So initially I asked some veteran players to help me log time, and then they clock in consistently below 10 minutes. I was like, huh, really? I mean, obviously that's anecdotal. So then we asked, Jerry to run just basically systematic numbers on King of the Hill and Crazy King and so on, and death matches. And right now, just on average, 3v3 King of the Hill comes in at less than 600 seconds. So they clock in at less than just a shade under 10 minutes, which is pretty short. I mean, the target target match time that we're trying to aim for, especially for like death matches, for example, will be about around 15 minutes. And right now they're clocking in at less than 10. So we're like, oh, whoa, okay, that would be for 3v3, no less. So that's definitely interesting. And so then we run distribution just to see where most of the matches are falling under, and we definitely have a significant number of matches. The distribution is a little bit long tail, so because there are just fewer matches that run long, but they can run pretty long. But then there are significant, within one standard deviation, for example, there's a bunch of matches that are clocking in at less than 9 minutes, and that's definitely quite a bit shorter than we anticipated. So we'll need to do something to rebalance the match back to around 15 minutes. So for the people who basically advise us to give us feedback to add the objective numbers back to the original, we'll definitely consider that, because that seems like a easy way to rebalance some of the maps. So I mean, anyways, I think the problem that people have identified is definitely pretty real, and we saw that.
Yeah, and then for the question of where is Jacob? Jacob spent all day making a meal because of the time difference. It's basically past his dinner time. So he was finishing up very last of it, and then you'll get to see his pretty face. Another question, Howard, is who all is going to be at PAX from the Muse office?
A lot. Well, it's me, Matt, and let's see who else is going. I think Eugene will be going. Jack will be going. Basically, our two artists will be going. Alex is planning on going. George is planning on going, and Tom is planning on going. So basically, most of the people. Next week, there should only be 2 people in our studio, and everybody else would be at PAX.
And just 2 people. I just imagine them goofing off and having fun by themselves.
Well, I mean, Eric's not going. Eric's a little bit conned out, so he's staying behind.
All right, and then so someone said lots of feedback. You mean unnerf Pyrrha? There's definitely been some people who feel very strongly about unnerfing the Pyrrha. We've also gotten some great feedback of people saying it brings a lot more ship choices in, kind of thing. It's still something we're definitely going to keep an eye on. It was a pretty big thing. The Pyrrha is the meta or standard that most of the ships are held to.
I mean, well, actually, okay. To be honest, I've gotten feedback either way. And it's supposed to numbers, they're all anecdotal, so it's hard to say. I would need to spend a little bit more time to collect more usage data, all right, and then I can tell you definitively just what the drop is in Pyrrha usage is. I mean, obviously I anticipate a decrease in Pyramidian usage, but by how much I would need a little bit of time to collect data to tell you definitively. However, what I would say is that I get feedback. We get feedback on either end. There definitely some people say that we ruined the game by nerfing the Pyramidian. There are also people who are saying that who are basically Pyramidian pilots who are saying that the nerf is warranted. What we try to do to make this decision is not because we hate the Pyramidian. Well, we happen to like the Spire. I happen to like the Spire, but it's not Pyramidian's our bastard child, and therefore we hate it, so we want to cast it aside. All right. I mean, it's really balanced. It's about usage, right? It's about usage rate, and it's about basically having more varieties and more viable options and more strategies, more ships, more everything to be in play. We don't want the game to be quote unquote balanced in having one dominant ship and if we like in like say 2 or 3 ships that are rarely ever used, because they're not like considered viable, then that's actually not balanced. That's not what we aim for in balancing. So we look at the data, and obviously, I mean, I think this is something that you guys can eyeball already. You guys know that Pyramidion is highly overused, and Squid and Spire is highly underused, and so we try to make balanced decision based off of that, and so that's what this balance patch is about. So it's not about biases, it's about like sentiments or whatever. But having said that, I mean, if people have a blunt force way of flying the Pyramidion and think that it will be an all-purpose ship, yes, I think that might no longer be totally viable. You might need to make some strategic, more like granular consideration when using Pyramidion, or situational consideration when using Pyramidion. The jury's still out as to whether that's good or bad. And I mean, obviously, it's like, well, I'm not saying that, oh, okay, we're not going to balance ships further. Haha, if you're a Pyrrha pilot, you're screwed. Hopefully you're not. And second of all, like, it's not like, oh, okay, we're not going to continue to monitor and make adjustments. But I just don't want, we just don't want to make adjustments just like see the pants. Some people are complaining, and okay, fine, we'll just make changes like on the fly. I mean, that's just not responsible. So I hope that answers the concern about Pyramidion. If we really warrant a change, we can make a change. I mean, it's not that hard.
Mighty Kebab says, I guess the Pyrrha will just get nerfed even harder if we don't see Squids and Spires in competitive. I personally love watching all the competitive games and stuff. That's not the only reason for a lot of the choices we've made, kind of thing. Like, I'd love to see more Spires and Squids. I'd love to see Mobula Galleon combos. I'd love to see, it all. But it's really just, like, standard game usage as well. Because, I mean, well, let me put it this way. We got an email when we first started talking about nerfing the Pyramidion saying, the Pyramidion's never used already, you don't need to nerf it. And then we went into our dev games for the day, and there were 5 Pyramidions and my goldfish. So, I mean, that's just an anecdotal example, of course, but there were definitely a lot of peers. We're definitely going to, keep going in the data, looking at the usage. But a question has been, well, a comment, I guess, sort of was brought up, which leads into the next topic of, so has anyone tried fighting against 2 quad Minotaur galleons? Very frustrating. We've definitely... Howard,
actually, I have, I fought, like in Dev Hour, I fought a galleon that had 2 Minotaurs, at least on the port side. And yeah, I felt like I was in turbulence. It's like my airplane's in turbulence the whole time. So... Having said, okay, so what are we on to? Are we moving on to Minotaur balance?
Yeah, let's touch on the Minotaur balance and what we've seen or heard and what we think about it.
We got a lot of feedback on the Minotaur, and the feedback actually turned out to be pretty consistent, which is good. As far as like the state of the Minotaur and everything, I mean, I think it's something that we'll be considering, and Eric's out. I can't speak for him and on exactly what he has in mind, but I think with at least what Matt and I think is that the feedback that we've gotten are consistent and they're reasonable. So essentially, like if you look at the Minotaur right now, the knockback I think is very interesting. I mean, it's actually pretty hilarious, like to be knocked back. I personally, I actually really enjoy getting hit by a Minotaur. But right now, you have other factors at play, right? Such as, how many times are you getting knocked back in succession? How easily am I getting knocked back? And what else is happening when I'm getting knocked back? Which is like, shatter damage, right? So those auxiliary things are sort of like compounding to make the Minotaur, experience a interesting one to say the least, a bumpy one to say the least, right? So I think what we've gotten is that the complaint is actually, I would say, of all the the comment and emails and we're like, it's rarely about the knockback itself. It's more about what's the other things that's happening to go along with the knockback, and that's something that I think we should focus on in looking at.
Yeah, I mean, and it's really great. The feedback at like the first and second day for it was kind of all over the place. We had some like, it's too powerful as long and as the same number of it's not powerful. And then I feel like the community really came together and figured out how to make like really take advantage of the weapon, and that's when the feedback got a lot more, as Howard said, consistent with all those issues.
Yeah, I mean that's also like interesting. I mean, it's like obviously we've been testing the gun for like a month, and it takes one day for someone to exploit it after we release it. Yeah.
I feel like the Minotaur being an easy to hit projectile would have served it better instead of being a Carronade V2. Yeah, so I mean the raycast is definitely if you combine it with the heavy clip is where we're seeing the biggest strength for it. Is definitely where we see it, taking out weapons and engines with the shatter damage and spinning, which does, as Howard said, just a lot. Which is what, I'm sure we're going to be bugging Eric about and picking his brain on what he thinks should be done next.
Mm-hmm.
And then as someone said, nobody uses the Spire because it's ugly as hell. I disagree. The Spire is actually one of my favorite ships from an aesthetics standpoint. But
it's beautiful.
The aesthetic standpoint of it makes it a huge target for lumberjacks. So
yes, it does.
And
are
there
things.
Larger crews being available for larger ships? Is there any plan for that? There isn't. It's definitely not a setup we're going to be going for. We did try it before where the Galleon had like 5 crew and the Squid had 3, but we really felt like, from both a UI standpoint and from just a consistency standpoint, having 4 was a great balancing factor. Balance issues with the new weapon. Yep, we just talked about it. I'll just sum it up in case you just stepped in. Really, the shatter damage combined with all the effects it has is making it what it appears to be a little too powerful and consistent in hitting, so we're definitely going to be taking a peek at that. If you put one on a goldfish, can you call it a mini fish? So I have to steal Jacob's name here for Shunt Fish. And I like that because it was named one of my favorite robots in Robot Wars, Shunt. So.
Oh, that was a great show. Wonderful. I didn't even think of that.
Mobula underrated. No, I definitely do not think the Mobula is underrated. And Monica Bob brings it up. Mate, go watch the Riders. The Riders do a lot with it. I love using the ship. It's my lazy captain ship because it can do so much with you can definitely do some amazing captaining on it, but it comes down to having great gunners and engineers, I find. Galleon is kind of hard to handle with 4 people, so is the Mobula. Yes, it's, as people have brought up, the Mobula and the Galleon are definitely a lot more competitive ships, I find, but not as great pub ships, so if you don't have people that you can trust, it makes them very difficult. I hear some singing in the background for some reason.
Yeah, that'd be my housemates. We had a kind of big roast dinner, and it took hours to cook, and we just finished it, and it seems that they're now playing music out there. I may go and ask them to be quiet, unless of course it's not disturbing you at all, and it's just adding.
No, let's definitely mute it unless you're talking, just so we don't have to compete with his lovely voice. Okay, so when people don't know what game mode they're voting on, if it doesn't say, can we add it so that it says vote for more Crazy Kings, like the maps say what type of game mode they are? I believe there was that in the idea pile at some point, but if not, I'll definitely add it in there because it sounds like a very good one, because we can't expect everyone to have every name memorized like we do. And I guess so that covers the new weapon. Oh, there was a question I missed, and I'm very sorry. Why wasn't stamina mode added? Like, why was it removed at the very last minute? There's a lot of reasons for this. We got to do a lot of testing, but a big thing is the UI didn't get to a place where we wanted it before the cutoff for our freeze. And we really want to make sure that thing, goes in as strong as possible, so it's not, put it half in and half later. We also got a lot of feedback in ways that it could, hurt the game, or ways that it was detrimental to the experience. So we really wanted to make sure we tested it, put those fears to rest, or at least on our side to make sure that we tested everything thoroughly and everything was tried out. Number 1 ship when playing with pubs is the Junker. All you need is one good engineer and you're on kibble. I disagree personally. I don't know. I have bad experiences aboard pub Junkers. It's a great ship. I love it. It's very effective. But in pub games, for me, it's Goldfish or like Pyramidion if I don't trust the crew, because it's, very simple gun usage. It is go position, aim at enemy.
Yeah, Junker is a great ship, except that, even with us, being on the Junker with us, sometimes it's like, oh man, it's tough, because you do obviously more when the ship is not exactly pointing forward, and a lot of us, me included, are a little bit more challenged by having guns on the side. So.
And someone says, how do you feel about locking locking out of novice locking people from out of novice games until they've completed tutorials or level out of novice? We definitely, made the tutorials the first time you play. It automatically puts you in.
Whose question is that?
Capitranos? Capitrantos.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know, essentially I'm looking at a email feedback right now. I wonder if it's the same person. But yes, I think that's actually not a bad idea. We didn't want it to make it, terribly restrictive. But like before, it's like, we didn't want to restrict you that much, and want to encourage you to do the tutorial, but we don't want to require you, force you. But yeah, we might have to do something a little bit more. So.
Yeah, we at the very start we had nothing, and then we had, it automatically puts you in, but you can quit out, and we can keep looking at that school of reasoning and see how far it goes, kind of thing. Thank you for adding my ideas to control points. I really like the changes. I really like them too mechanically. So, I don't remember your email exactly, but I'm glad that we got it close to how you were looking for it. Are the airplanes made yet? Yeah, there's a lot of airplanes in co-op mode. We've been blowing plenty out of the sky, and they've been returning the favor to us. Actually, I think in the last test, the planes were more dangerous than the ships.
Right now, our PvE AI director is kind of like Skynet. They are like, it's scary. It's scary. Like, yeah, it's scary how powerful the AI is right now. Survivability generally isn't very high.
And then why is the balloon on the bottom of this, the balloon repair point on the bottom of the spire instead of the top? It used to be on the top, actually, in that little nook and cranny. It was moved, I think, for balance reasons, to put the hull up there to make it easier on the engineers.
The hull wasn't fixed quickly enough, so things died.
Yep. So it's definitely not there because she's asking compared top and bottom locations. It makes more sense for the balloon being near the top. So it's not a thematic. It wasn't a thematic change. It was more of a gameplay change.
It's hard to question. Sometimes you have to suspend disbelief on the spire a little bit. You are flying an inverted Christmas tree after all. So.
Yes. Beautiful inverted Christmas tree.
One of the players is saying the tutorial was extremely useful, so that's definitely great feedback. That's we really like hearing that.
Well, that might be the first time I've ever heard it. So.
True, but the people we mostly talk to about it are vets who know these things already. We built a tutorial after the vets already learned. So if you, Modilio, came in and started with the tutorial and you think it's great, that's awesome. That's definitely what we like to hear, that it's working. Will there be Oculus Rift support?
Eventually, yeah. It's not the story of Oculus Rift is that we had Rift and we were working on it for a while. We just kind of dropped it in favor of doing a lot of the other stuff that we're doing. For us right now, Rift isn't that high of a priority. I think it's really cool, but it isn't terribly high in our priority to-dos. I think part of it is just like, we have other things that are more pressing. The other thing is just like I personally would like to find more interesting uses than just like, you're more like, say, in 3D space and you're not throwing it up. I would like to be able to do more than that. I don't know. I mean, in that sense, right? I'm actually really interested in Morpheus. I don't know if anybody has tried Morpheus, but I personally am like really digging the Morpheus. I don't know about you guys, but I kind of am because it's got like move and gesture control integration. It's got like audio, like the audio is like pretty good. It's I don't know. I think Morpheus is actually pretty cool. I mean, but I have a feeling that it's gonna stay a PS4 thing and never come to the PC, which is too bad.
And will there be a customization menu that it's a ship hangar instead of the orange sky?
Personally, yeah, I mean, we definitely had designs for that. If you look at the concept arts and stuff, there's definitely designs for it. Yes, I mean, we'll love to do something like that. And, stuff like that we can do, we can add on, and it doesn't, I mean, basically, yeah, that kind of stuff, like, we can always augment and add on to the game. But I think it would be really cool, though.
And then a player brings up, by Skynet, do you mean they're actually smart? So I will say they are smarter than they were. I mean, especially the planes, there's a much less suicide. But I think it's more like Skynet and its urge to murder all of mankind.
Yeah. I mean, like, a lot of times, it depends, right? I mean, the old... okay, fine. I don't want to get into this debate because it's like kind of dangerous. But like an individual Terminator isn't necessarily the smartest, but they overwhelm you with like firepower, and force, and indestructibility. And in that sense, yes, we're spawning Skynet. So we're having a whole battlefield of like semi-decently intelligent. Terminators that are just like out to destroy you at every turn, and there's a lot of them.
Yeah, it's definitely you grab a capture point balloon in defense, and then suddenly the cloud in front of you outflies 50 planes. It feels like, and it's a horde of ships behind them. So, was gun buff changed? Actually, it was bugged. There was a bug in the patch. We have a fix for it coming up, so it'll be back to how it was very soon. A strong AI that doesn't rely on having different rule set is always refreshing. Actually, so ours have a completely different rule set, but not being like overpowered. Their ships are actually weaker than yours. There's just greater number, and the reason for that is it's fun to destroy a lot of ships. Like the tactical one-on-one battle is great, and we love that mode. I mean, we made it for Guns of Icarus Online, and the boss ships are big and require multiple people to take down. But for like the average ship and the average plane, they're definitely a lot easier to destroy than their human counterparts. So you can blow up many of them. How's co-op doing? Any more co-op pack stuff? Yep. Co-op pack stuff. Everyone will get to see it, so it doesn't matter if you're not going. We'll be having it on stream next week, so same time, 3 p.m. Friday. If you want to see it, Jacob's going to be running the Muse side of it. We're going to have CAs playing, and he's going to help out and help cast it for us since he does such a great job. So if you want to see it firsthand, you'll definitely be able to see it there. We're going to be showing off Defense and Retrieve mode. Defense, people got to see last year, but it's definitely been refined and made better in so many different ways. And then Retrieve is an entirely new mode, which we're really excited to show off. Are there any set difficulty levels for PvE, or is it purely scaled on what the AI director decides to do while in game?
It's in its final form, we're still gonna decide about difficulty level. But generally, yes, the AI will scale tension based on how well you're doing. That's just what the director is. But it will also for individual modes and maps, it will also respond to you, like spawn things and whatnot in different ways. So I think some of it is reacting to specific situations, and some of it is reacting to how well you're doing, progressing.
Alright. And are there any plans for a period of closed beta testing for people who pre-ordered Adventure Mode or paid into the Kickstarter?
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it's even we want to do it even earlier than that. I think right now the game I would say is basically a prototype phase. It's very playable, but there's a lot of mechanic stuff, and we're still refining. So I would say we're still at prototype phase, but we absolutely don't mind getting you guys into a prototype, so as we possibly can. We do want to make sure that at least the game modes are working as we intended it, right? As we envisioned, but by like flushing out all the missing, mechanics, developing all the mechanics that we actually wanted to, before we open up for you guys to test, because we felt like that way, even though it takes longer for you guys to wait, when you guys do, you guys can actually give us better feedback than when things are like still half broken and not totally flushed out. You know what I mean?
Then our next question is, will there be any anti-airplane guns special for planes? We've actually found a lot of the guns we already have are really good. Things like the Banshee, the Light Flak, the Gatling are just amazing for ripping planes out of the sky.
Rocket.
Which one?
Banshee, I'm sorry.
Banshee,
Banshee. And Artemis is like not terrible. I mean, it's usable. What else? Flamethrowers not bad.
True, flamethrowers will definitely rip through planes. Their only weakness being range.
Yeah, just range. And what else? I mean, you could a very close range. You could use Carronade too. Mm. So there are a lot of. I mean, planes they're meant to be overhead. They're meant to fly over you, and they're meant to swarm you. But individually, planes are not very strong. So, like, if you can, any gun that fires like any number of shots in quick successions can deal with planes pretty well.
When will be a binoculars buff? There won't be one. So we have the Spyglass and the Rangefinder. Spyglass we're definitely happy with what it does. Rangefinder is definitely on the docket to be looked at. I don't think we have a plan for it right now, though. So, a bit of an odd question. The current heavy weapons are described as being medium mount weapons. Are there any player ships that will be coming with large mounts? Actually, the current large weapons were going to be medium weapons, but then that changed. So I think anything that still says that is out of date. So if you see anything that says medium weapons, grab a screenshot, send it our way so we can get it fixed up.
There will be, okay, I'll say this, right? Something that we're concepting, that we already have one weapon for, are basically, call it what you want. I mean, there's essentially special weapons for co-op bosses. And there's one weapon that already exists, and it's pretty damn powerful, that you guys haven't seen in the game. That is not the Minotaur. So it's a gun that you guys haven't seen that exists on an enemy boss ship right now, and we're trying to concept more of them.
But you will see them next week if you tune in, same time. It's gonna be trust me, I've seen it. It's amazing looking and very fearsome and annoying.
It's actually before I complain. It's like the boss just like just a piece of meat, whatever, just a slug. And then once I got on there, I'm like, whoa, okay, dang.
Sammy's asking, is it the Splinter? It is not the Splinter. This thing it's on a boss ship and it's terrifying. We haven't really talked about it before, but you will get to see it. You'll get to know our fear. Have you seen any of the balance issues with the Minotaur yet? Yeah, we talked a little bit about the start, but we'll do a quick summary here for all the new people who are hopping in. The Minotaur is starting to get some very consistent feedback of being a little too powerful with all the things that it does, which is, the number of shots it gets, the easy to aim, the knockback, and the shatter damage. Especially in things like the heavy clip, it makes it, a laser gun for taking out parts and engines, which combined with a spin can be highly effective. And Eric isn't here to give his 2 cents, but we've been kind of gathering the data and sending it his way, so he'll probably be looking at it. If you have any more feedback, guys, just keep sending it in. We love it all. Like, I cannot, stress that enough. The feedback's been amazing for us. It really helps us see how you guys break all our stuff. Like, we tested the weapon for a month, and then a couple days after it comes out, we're like, oh, well, people have discovered all these amazing ways to use the weapon. Is it a Sky Whale? No, the Sky Whale you will not see in co-op mode, though Howard will tell you there is one in-game already. What Unity are you guys on, and how close are you guys to catching up are you? I believe we're on 4.5, and I believe that's the most recent one out of beta. If not, we're very close. The newer ones kind of have conflicts sometimes or ways that don't work with our game, and they require some work to get into. But we try to stay as up to date as possible because there's a lot of great things that Unity's doing, and we love it. So.
Actually, I don't know if we're 4.3 or 4.6. Let me check. I'm checking with George on production. But generally, like I'm waiting for him to ping me back. But I mean, generally, so before we were like really early adopters of Unity. So like meaning that when there's a Unity like new Unity version, we'll try to get in on the alpha, get in on the beta, and help them test. But release like with the latest Unity version all the time. And once like got onto production, we kind of stopped doing that. I mean, the last time we did that was 4.0 because we really wanted to get Linux out, and some of the Unity bugs took like a year to fix. So we try to be more laggard as far as like upgrading to the latest Unity version. Oh, so yeah, we're on 4.6.1 right now, and we're just a little bit like we're going to be trailing a little behind in updating to the latest Unity version because we want to make sure that they get a lot of bugs fixed before we actually roll out with it, so that people don't suffer from like Unity related input bugs, graphics bugs, and whatever. Which obviously happens. Like there's a lot of bugs that took Unity probably 2 years after like a version release to fix, and then that pain is passed on to you guys. So I kind of don't want that.
And then someone's saying, please don't keep novices out of normal matches based on our conversation before. We definitely so. There was a great idea that was brought up right afterwards, which I didn't comment on, which was only allow novices into real games if invited by non-novice players, and we definitely won't split you up from your friends, kind of thing. If we do anything, it won't be 100%. There's just this wall and divide. We like looking at all the ideas and seeing what's effective. There was the player who talked about forcing the tutorial for him was really good, and that's always great to hear. So let us know what has worked for you, what got you guys into the game, what really taught you, so we can do more of it. And we have actually caught up with questions for now. I guess still have about 15-20 minutes left in the stream, depending on where the Iron Fork is happening today. Jacob, you're still going to be a part of that, right?
Yeah, it's still going on. It's going to be a little bit smaller than usual, and we don't have the usual live stream, but we're still going to be playing in game, so there'll be a lobby up at some point at about the turn of the hour.
Sounds good. And we've talked about, I think, all the new patches. Capture Point, Minotaur, Ship Balance, and packs. We're just being really efficient today. I think Eric slows us down. Let's see. The problem is, in novice matches, no one can teach because they're all novices. I definitely agree that that's a problem. The other problem, though, is you've all had, the novices in your match that don't do anything well because they don't know. They don't know how to do anything well. There's a lot of complexity in the game. We'd love to have a compromise between those two options, and one of the things we do is community ambassadors who go into a lot of novice games and, try to be the voice of reason for people shooting Gatling guns into balloons. What is the ruling on CP? I don't think we have a final ruling. We just finished gathering the data today, so we're giving it to Eric, who will make the final choice. I mean, a very simple one, just off the top of our heads, is just simply increasing the point cap number kind of thing, because the new mechanics have gone over really well, but we'll see what happens for that.
For the most part, I mean, we definitely had a couple complaints about the change, like people preferring the old CP mechanic, but by and large, I would say like yeah, I mean I would say the vast majority of people who give us feedback anyway prefer the new CP mechanic. So
Oh, actually, yeah. Evodoc brings up something that we haven't talked about. There's new drum triggering mechanics.
yep, I thought of that. I mean, since nobody asked, I figured I don't dive into. I try to dive into like as few hornet's nests as possible. But thank you, Evo. You know, uh, I yeah. I mean, the drum changes. You know, that's basically once again debated. And I would say once again, quite a few people, the majority of people who gave us feedback seem to like it or seem to think that it's a positive change. But there are also a few people who didn't think that change was actually either needed or was good. I mean, I think with the drums is that it's not like we want to emphasize a stealth element to the game, but then it is sort of in my opinion, and Eric will obviously be able to comment more, but in my opinion, it's a little bit of a underdeveloped or like less of an optimal mechanic or system where you can essentially you can basically it's almost like sonar. It's like it's more effective than sonar. Like it's like an instant sonar, 100% accurate sonar that somehow tracks or radar that just kind of tracks like where the enemy is, regardless of any. I mean, you don't have to. The first thing you can detect or pinpoint a location of an enemy if you're good is to just listen to the drums. That has nothing to do with like the sound even of the enemy ship, or has nothing to do with like where the enemy ship physically is. I mean, you can actually detect it by some ambient drum beat before you even use a spotting scope or anything like that. So I feel like that's just it's not how discovery should be. Could it lengthen the discovery time or process? Yeah, it could. It absolutely could. But then I think the trade-off is, in my opinion, better in the way we're doing it now, which is that like there's not just like the discovery is not an automatic thing. It's really more. It's so there's still like more of a stealth element, and ambushing and whatnot. It's a little bit more possible. So.
And then the next question is, can you remind us what each of you do, the people in the Fireside Chat, muse-wise? So, and I believe Sammy answered it in a pretty good way. Matt chats with people, Bubbles is in charge, Occam does balancing, and Jacob does seduction.
Okay.
You know what? That sounds that sounds about right.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
I'm with that. That's great.
And then Sammy says, why send in feedback emails when I can moan under my breath at home? Because then you don't get anything done. Like, we take those email feedback to heart. Like, if it wasn't for email feedback, Stamina would be in right now, and probably some of the things that people brought up would have, come out and not been great. With the feedback, we've, dialed it back a little bit and still get to make more changes to it and make it better. So, please.
Well, actually, Sammy, no, I think you got us. All right. I think Matt is like BSing, but you actually got us. Yes, we did wiretap your home. So, yes, you could. You actually could just whisper under your breath, and yeah, it would have been all right because we'll know what you're saying. Wiretap your house.
Talk louder towards the outlet. Sometimes you're muffled. Is there any intent to allow players to assist in an allied ship in co-op, say letting them cross but giving them a timer or something until they're forced to respawn back on their own ship? I don't.
How does that work?
Like, basically jump to an allied ship or whatever to help them out. I don't think that's going to come in. I mean, big things, relative speeds of like hundreds of miles an hour makes it very hard to get a good jump. It also doesn't. I mean, the 4 people per ship is kind of a balancing fact that we like, and it's what a lot of the gameplay and ship design is built around. All right, and then the personal question, that first one we gotten from Abby is, what is your favorite cheese? And I like this question because I love cheese. Romano because it goes so well on many things, but all cheese is wonderful. So, if you guys have any strong feelings on cheese.
Oh.
I am partial to mozzarella.
Mozzarella is nice.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a fan of cheeses. I actually, I don't. So for example, I'm not goat cheese averse. I'm not blue cheese averse. I'm actually like pretty into all kinds of cheeses, but I am partial to mozzarella.
For day-to-day cheese, I usually go for Red Leicester, which is a cheddar kind of cheese. It's slightly darker and nuttier. It's really nice. But otherwise, mozzarella, brie camembert, stuff like that's really nice. Cheese is good.
Yeah. Sammy is asking, what am I whispering now? You are whispering that you want the tab button to not lock your mouse.
Or, boy, this game is awesome.
Iron Fork in 15 minutes. Yep, definitely, Abby. We'll let everyone go to the Iron Fork at that time, but until then, we're just going to hold you hostage with Jacob's seduction, which is why we keep him around.
Absolutely. It's the only reason that I got onto the... it's the only reason I'm an intern anyway. It's because I got all of the hearts and the love.
When can we expect Stamina? We are aiming for the next patch. There's a lot of work we want to do on it, and that means a lot more testing for you guys, but we definitely are aiming for next patch. And have no fear. When testing comes up, you'll hear me rant and rave, as always, that I need you there on the weekend. Is there any chance someone could be allowed from the spectator slot to jump onto a ship once the person has left the slot? I believe we've talked about that and thought it was a good idea. I believe it was on the ideas pile, even maybe an accepted kind of thing. Sammy does bring up a big issue for that, though, that we give people 2 minutes to get back in. That was especially important at the start where a lot of more disconnects came up. But we'll definitely, keep thinking of it and trying to figure out a way, because I know a lot of people watch their friends, and then when someone leaves, they want to take the slot, but they have to wait. When can I expect to tab out of the game again? For some reason, in the newest Unity build, there's an issue with alt-tabbing in Max. We're still digging through it. I'm really sorry for all the frustration, everyone, but we'll definitely try to get it up as soon as possible. In the meantime, you can use the borderless windowed mode. If you go to the Guns of Icarus FAQ, it'll show you how to do it, and that should solve the issue. In the meantime, if it doesn't, let me know, and we'll start figuring out other workarounds while we deal with Unity. Admiral, I feel like they're ignoring you. Am I? One second. Teach damage types in tutorial. It's the biggest thing weird about this game and cool. I believe the gunner tutorial has a lot on damage types, and we try to touch on it in the basic tutorial as well. If you've tried those out, you find them lacking, let me know, and we'll take a peek at it when we get the chance.
You know something? I really, really fancy some cheesecake right about now.
I know. As soon as you talk about cheese, you have to go for it.
Yeah, just anything like that. Food is good.
Is the alt-tab issue only on Mac? For the unable to alt-tab, it appears to only be on Mac right now. If you're having it on Windows, though, or Linux or something, shoot us an email. We'll check it out. I know I'm still able to alt-tab. I'm a chronic alt-tabber. Let's see. Any help for us poor NGs who find the rest of our crew have abandoned us? What kind of help were you looking for, Iron Lake? Alright, and again, we've caught up on the questions. We're 10 minutes away from the Iron Fork. I know you guys are super excited, because you get to hang out with Jacob one-on-one and get to deal with that seduction.
I got my cheesecake.
Yeah, this is apparently the Jacob is really hungry stream. Apparently, Ion Askin wants to tell Jacob all about the pizza that they had for dinner.
As you should. Pizza is a very important part of life. You gotta get that pizza.
Oh, will the AI ever be able to fly your ship if the pilot DCs?
I would never say never. I think, our AI's piloting. We spent at least a few months now working on, AI piloting, which is basically like, enemy AI ship behavior. And it is very, very, very challenging. I mean, there are definitely times where AI still is like, they just kind of fly into a wall, or, they cluster together and bump into each other and kind of spin, whatever. I mean, it's actually hard. I mean, it's a really hard thing to do. And it's also a hard thing to, for it to kind of sync up with a teammate and try to know like what the teammate wants it to do. So it's definitely not easy. And it's something that we could eventually, maybe one day, put it in, but it's not going to be immediate because it's actually pretty darn hard.
Sammy brings up a very important point. Each ship would need a different AI, especially for an AI that takes over a player ship. I mean, it could even be different for weapon setups. There's close range spires, long range spires, and there's close range, long range for everything, even medium range. So definitely very difficult, but something we would love if possible. I guess for now, just be ready to take the helm if your Captain Rage quits. Could the AI crew be taught to obey pilot signals? I believe they're supposed to respect pilot targeting right now, where that's standard button B on an enemy. It'll put little crosshairs on them.
I think they mean more so like voice commands.
Yeah. So no, voice command trigger, like that's a great idea. I mean, we had that on our to-dos and try to make it happen in some form. And I think it's actually an awesome idea that we're already talking about.
Is there any way to set up being allowed to buy a 4-pack even if you already own the game? We wish. The big thing is Steam. They do this not just for us, but for every game that has a multi-pack, that you cannot buy the multi-pack like as a gift kind of thing. I don't know. Do we have any way around that, Howard, or any other sites that offer multi-packs do you know of?
No, I mean, I guess right now, it's just like if you just email us individually, we can try to help you out. Like, maybe just like, because we can get keys for you. So yeah, I mean, you know what? Like, just email us. We'll try to take care of you.
Yeah. Work around the system. If Steam's the problem, come to us directly, and we'll get you set up. Can you make it so you can have one AI gunner max? I know this has been brought up before, and I feel like this is something that we're gonna change this, guys. Like, I think there was even talk of like removing AI gunners completely at one point.
Yeah, but it's not, right. It's AI gunners.
It's still.
Yeah, I think that was on the. I'm pretty sure that was on the to-dos.
Yeah. Can you make it so I can choose AI loadout and classes? No, mostly because they don't use ammo, and I mean, I guess the only thing you could really change is engineering sets. If you can give me a great use case for that, then I guess we can look at it. But I think they've got kind of like the AI minds about how they're supposed to use things that they already have. 3 gunners on a squid. That's not an AI problem. That's your crew just hates you or thinks that you're gonna somehow get all 3 guns in arc. Which I guess if you're an amazing squid pilot, you'll find a way to get in between 2 ships. Could you make them all engineer and no gunner? Yeah, that's definitely something. It's on the to-dos list for the AI. I think like the difference between AIs and gunners and engineers. The gunners actually have a higher accuracy. They will hit more than the AI engineers. And with that, we are just a couple minutes out, so I'm going to open it up not to even the sillier questions. I know we already took the cheese one, but if you had any personal, silly, or just off-the-wall questions, sneak them in before we head off for the day, and Jacob heads to the Iron Fork. Will the AI work with the stamina system, or is it for players only? Players only, I believe. I don't think we're going to teach them how to use stamina. And then, so people are saying, Muse, what is love? Oh, and how close are we to making the bird shootable? This is a good question for you, Howard. I know that.
Oh, yes.
Oh, man. I feel bad, but yes, I've been pushing for that for a long time. I've gotten no success. But yes, I've been a proponent. I've been a bird hunting activist for a while now.
Legalize bird hunting.
What is the biggest waste of $20? That's a tough question.
Those. Well, first of all, guns. Hasn't been. Guns is only $15, so you cannot say Guns of Icarus. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear Guns of Icarus because it's not $15. You don't get change, so it's, that cannot be guns. So
I don't think he was leaning towards us, but you are very defensive on it. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I just wanna preempt.
Guys, listen, we are not the biggest waste of $20 because we're $15. Boom, argument over.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. How is that for an argument? Yeah, okay, if it's not Guns of Icarus, man, what's the biggest waste of $20? I don't know, man. Like food in New York, dude.
I was leaning towards food as well, not because it's super expensive here, but I know I've wasted $20 on food that I didn't really enjoy or was not good for me. The next question: what kind of phones do you guys use? I've got an Android, Samsung Galaxy 3 or something.
I use a iPhone 6 now.
You are gonna love my phone. Hold on, it's in my
I feel
pocket.
like it's either gonna be really fancy or like some brick. There's not gonna be an in between here.
There it is. It's beautiful. It's a Nokia, and I've had it for about 5 years, and it's brilliant. It texts people and it calls people.
Well,
Can you believe
those are good traits for a phone to have.
Those are amazing things for a phone to have.
Have you thought about Tesla weaponry? Yes, actually, it was in Flight of the Icarus, I believe, and there was concept for it for Guns of Icarus Online.
Tesla weaponry. You will just have to find out.
But yeah, co-op is coming out, so there are more and more ideas, which I know sounds ominous and like it's going to reveal things. Let's see, and I believe. And we've caught up with the question.
You will find out.
Yeah, you will find out. Yeah, so I guess we're going to see everyone next week, and I'm going to start our ending here so I can say, the standard Tuesday, Thursday, 5 p.m. Dev Games, and then most importantly, next week, Friday, 3 p.m. standard time, so Eastern time, but the standard time for the Dev Fireside Chat, we are going to be showing off co-op mode. Most of the office is going to be at PAX, but Jacob is going to be running it for you guys. You're going to get to see defense and retrieve mode. Come in, check it out, see all the cool things that we're going to be showing off. And I'll grab these last two questions, and then we're going to sign off for the day. So, did any of you guys play Arcanium of Steamworks and Magic Obscuria? I have not.
No.
Right.
Nice one. Next question.
Do y'all have any pets? Nice, y'all. I actually have lived a lot in Texas, so I can accept that. I have a dog, Echo, and a cat, Bequin. You guys?
No.
I don't have any here because the landlord doesn't let me have pets, but at my family home we've got 2 cats and 1 new dog. I don't like the dog, but the cats are nice.
And with that, we are going to sign off for the day. Jacob is going to have the Iron Fork, so you should go in Guns of Icarus and join him. Thank you so much for hanging out with everyone. You will see Jacob next week, along with Dan from the Rob and Dan Show, for the co-op mode that we're showing off at PAX. It's been a pleasure as always, and bye, everyone.
Thanks, guys.